Good morning and good afternoon, depending on wherever you at the time this recording. This is episode 137 of the Restricted Zone podcast, and this is the RZB crew back at it again with another episode. Kyrie, introduce yourself to the people out here, man.
Luz was good, man. Let's have a good episode, bro. Let's do it.
Absolutely, I'm all for it. Johnny, introduce yourself to the people, man.
Hello world, just Johnny tapping in again, baby. Advocate, not an analyst. No, just an analyst, not an advocate. Let's get
Just an
that right.
in, let's
We
get
go
it
that way.
right. Yes, sir. Mar, introduce yourself to the people, man.
What's up, Colin? Yeah, yo, I'm not gonna lie, this is gonna be one of them episodes, so I really can't wait to get started with this one. So I'm glad to be here today.
Man, boy, am I too. And Chris, introduce yourself. Came in with perfect timing, man.
No, that's how I
Yes,
do it.
sir.
The man, the myth, and the legend is back with a
Oh
little
man.
looking like Booker T in the flesh.
Yes, sir. Man, and I love. Listen, just like Mark said, this is definitely going to be one of the episodes. I'm so excited for it. And let's just dive right into it. Strictly basketball. Also, just a FYI, Kyrie dropped a Knicks tape. It's going to be a new part of the series of the podcast, exclusively for the Knicks fans. Kyrie and Lodge, part of the RZB crew, so stay on the lookout for
Appreciate
that.
that shout out, bro.
Yes, sir. Episode 134. So just hit the like, subscribe, and comment so you can be in tune and, caught up to whatever we're doing. So let's dive right into it, man. NBA basketball. We're going to start off with the meat and potatoes. We're going to go right to the main meat. Listen, man, the Sixers finally got rid of James Harden. And honestly speaking, I didn't know how they were going to do it, and I didn't know how long it was going to take to do it. I thought it would take maybe until All-Star weekend, maybe. Fortunately, it didn't get to that point. But listen, man, I just want to start off with Johnny. So, Johnny, I'm going to start off with you. The winners and losers of this, man. I mean, listen, a lot of people was kind of like giving it 50-50. I think we won just based on the fact that it was the whole sole purpose was to get rid of him. And, just give me your thoughts.
Well, Colin, I originally, as a Sixers fan, I was going to take a sigh of relief. Whew. All right, that's over. Another tornado in the rear view. But going forward, I would want to originally say that we would be the winners out of this trade. But in all honesty, for the sake of basketball, who really wins with James Harden? Period. This is his third trade in 3 years. Nobody really wins. There's no winners. There's no losers. There's just Harden being James Harden. He's just being weird, and he's taking his circus someplace else. So as
Okay.
far as I'm concerned, it's just another tornado that's out the deal. And honestly, I mean, this guy, what has he been wanting? Money, right? Long-term contract and money. And this guy has been solidified on getting that no matter what it takes, no matter what he has to say, no matter what act he has to do, no matter how many practices he has to not show up for. But it's all a part of his plan to just ultimately get paid, I guess. Steve Ballmer. This is no coincidence he wanted to go to the Clippers. Their owner is the richest owner in the NBA. Steve Ballmer. That's a little stat that I didn't even know myself. I'm pretty sure James Harden knew that. I'm pretty sure his agent knew that. So that made sense why he was undeniably sold on the Clippers. That's my personal opinion. Pretty sure not. I'm pretty sure other people in the world would share that as well. But honestly, for Steve Ballmer, who really wins? And he gains yet another unreliable star. No shade to Kawhi, no shade to Paul George. But he has another unreliable star that he doesn't know what he's going to get out of. I mean, Paul George and Kawhi have a little bit more promise this season than James Harden. But if this votes well, if this goes south, then it'll just be like Steve Ballmer just basically going back to the drawing board. And on top of that, he's already $91 million in a hole already with the contract tied up between Paul George and Kawhi Leonard alone. I mean, they shuffled a couple of rotational players out. I mean, they kept Terrence Mann, but I mean, who's really winning here? And I mean, who else is really winning? Moving on to, I mean, who's Russell Westbrook? He's still there, right? This will be his third stint
He's
with
still,
James
yeah,
Harden.
yeah,
This will be his
yeah,
third stint. You think
yeah, this would
he's
be his third
happy
stint.
about this? You think he's happy about this?
Mm.
Less shots for him, less ball control for him. Once again, another season of dealing with James Harden, which he wanted to get away from him twice before. It just doesn't work with them two. And yet and still, here we go again, third time. Pretty sure that's another loser. Daryl Morey. I mean, he managed to get rid of PJ Tucker, who we were going to have to owe him $11.5 million. He had a player option, so we kind of dodged that. Got 2 first-round picks out the Clippers, but at the end of the day, we're back at the drawing board. Joel Embiid, yet another superstar that it doesn't work out with. Jimmy Butler, Ben Simmons, now James Harden.
No, Jimmy
Oh
Butler
my
worked
God!
out. Jimmy
Oh
Butler
my,
worked
no,
out.
no.
We just
Ultimately, it
traded.
didn't.
How did
It
it
didn't
work
work
out?
out to how it was. How we were
Stop,
supposed. We
Kyrie.
supposed to win, bro.
You
It
stop,
just
bro.
didn't
That's
work.
it. It did not
Stop.
work out.
It
What do
didn't
you
work
mean?
out. So this is just a third superstar, or that it just potentially we're supposed to have something, and once again it didn't have anything. So Joel Embiid is just like, huh, no help again. Once again, it just. So honestly, I'm just going to cut this stint short. This is just making me even more depressing. My bottom line is nobody wins, nobody
Hmm.
loses. It's just James Harden.
Gotcha. It's just James Harden, the beard. All right, Kyrie, I'm gonna swing it to you before I swing it to Mars. So, Kyrie, listen. In your opinion, who's the winners and losers in regardless of this whole trade? And then how do you think James Harden fits into the Clippers' plan? I mean, what do we move Russell back to the bench? Do we put James Harden at the two, still have Russ at the point, and then we put Paul George at the three and Kawhi at the four? Because Kawhi did play the four for the Clippers for a good amount of time. I mean, what's the roster looking like?
Well, for the first question, Johnny pretty much answered that perfectly as to saying like there ain't really too many winners and losers when it comes to James Harden being traded. Like I don't, I I think the Sixers did make out better because they got him like away from the team. They got him away as a headache, and they did get some serviceable pieces back, and like Morris Twin, Nick Batum, or whatever. There's some
Yeah.
vet pieces that like you could throw out there, or whatever. They gonna do their thing. But as far as like the Clippers go, bro, I really don't understand. Still don't understand like what kind of like what really enticed them, or like what really attracted them to make this trade, or what they see James Harden bring it to their team, which is already full of what Johnny referred to them as unreliable stars, because that's exactly what they are. They simply don't show up. Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, they simply don't show up
Health wise, because they
health
haven't
wise.
played
But even in the playoffs too,
playoff,
that still affects the playoffs too, because
of course.
if you got your wingman playing out there by himself, it's not what he signed up for, and vice versa. Or if they not playing, if they both not playing, then it's not what you signed up for. That's not what Steve Ballmer as an owner and what they front office brought them there to do. They didn't bring them there to play less than 50% of their games together. Like
Mm.
that's not what it's supposed to be like. So bring a guy like James Harden in, who's had the turmoil, who's had the just like who just had like the disagreements with his past teams and his past squads. He's already played with a crazy team with KD and Kyrie,
All
and
right.
it wasn't enough for him. And they still like it still falls in that category of like trios and like teams that we put together. Like what if? Just because they
Right.
simply weren't they just didn't last long together, and it showed in the long run they wouldn't have lasted long together.
Okay.
So with it being James Harden, I don't know how he fits in with the Clippers as far as we talk about from a pure basketball standpoint. Because Kawhi Leonard needs the ball a lot, Paul George needs the ball a lot, and deservedly so because they're gonna go out there and get you buckets, and they're gonna earn
Play
those touches
defense.
on the defensive end exactly. And not to on top of that, they're clutch too. You can rely on them when they're in game. You can rely on them to hit shots down the line, and you can rely on them
Absolutely.
to get you buckets and make the right decisions. So throwing a guy like Harden in the mix, as far as like a playmaking aspect, like he still fits in. He's got a guy like Zubac. He can fit. He can hit in the pick. He can hit in the pick
I
and
mean,
roll.
he's arguably the Clippers' best playmaker at this point. Because Paul
He
George and
is.
Kawhi
He is
never averaged over. Yeah.
exactly, and he hits guys at a higher volume than Russell Westbrook does. Russell Westbrook's probably second now as far as best playmaker on that team, but James Harden to at most points does it to more of an efficient extent. So, like I mentioned with the pick and roll with Zubac, you got that, and he's good at making zip passes like to the weak side, find spot up shooters like Kawhi. You still got Norman Powell, Terrence Mann when he comes back from injury. So I think it does fit out as far as that. If he's willing to take a step back and not really worry about getting his points as much, then yeah, we'll see. But as far as like the clip, it's the Clippers, so I don't expect much from them. I don't expect them to last. I don't expect this team to be together like all healthy, like fully loaded, come April. So,
Okay.
and with that,
All
with
right.
James Harden, I don't see him being on this team come next season. I think
Yeah.
he's going to find a way to complain his way out of here. And something's going to go wrong with him, Paul George, or Kawhi. I don't know if y'all seen the video, but him first walking into the locker room, you could feel the tension. I could you could feel the tension. Like Terrence Mann was
I,
throwing daggers at him because he was being dwindled all summer for him, and it's just like yo, like
and
now you
then
coming
you
over
got
here, you taking touches away from me, you taking minutes away from me, and it's
yeah,
like
man. Yeah.
you
I mean,
could just
Russ was
see,
trying to
bro.
laugh it off. Russ was laughing it off. You know what I mean?
It
But
was
I don't know.
awkward, bro.
It
It was
was.
so
It was
awkward, bro.
awkward.
It
It
was
was really.
awkward.
It was awkward. That was
I'm gonna
getting
And
tell
to the
you
then
this
game
now.
awkwardness.
Yo, I'm gonna tell you this real quick. I'm gonna tell you this now. If they don't win, I'm gonna tell you this now. James Harden might go down as one of the most disappointing players in NBA history, if not the most.
That's fair.
Dis-
That's fair.
I'm putting
That's
that up
fair.
there. The most
That's
disappointing
fair.
career.
I don't think anyone here can really
I've
disagree with
never
that.
seen an MVP moved around this much.
If it's not, and you can't even use the injury excuse because it's literally just been times where he's flat out been at his prime and he's flat out disappointed. So it's just like, yeah, that's definitely a fair argument. I don't think anyone can disagree with that one. I mean, Mars, I'm gonna swing it to you. In regards to this, so we got the more so of the West side, the Clipper side. What does it mean for the Sixers, man? I think Tyrese Maxey finally becomes that other Kentucky guard that finally gets the full reins, full control, and he blossoms just like every other Kentucky guard. I mean, I think Joel and him would probably be a hell of a duo. Just what's your thoughts on the Sixers, man? And then moving forward. And who do you think is the winners and losers of the trade?
I feel like the 76ers considered one the trade because at the end of the day, like it was previously stated, you got nigga James Harden. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, once you get rid of the toxicness in the locker room, get rid of the cancer, I feel like you win. They got two draft picks, and they got some people that they can use for trade bait if they want to.
Right.
So Tyrese Maxey, he's definitely. I don't know if he's enough to keep Joel there happy.
I mean, he's playing
But
like no other's name right now.
3 games, but I expect him to step up. I expect him to average around 25 points this year, but I don't
Mm.
know if he's enough to keep Joel as a Sixer. I do feel like the Sixers moving on from Harden helps them in multiple ways. They got um, they got some more pieces. I like the pieces they got. You, you, you got James Harden off your team. He doesn't really help any team in this scenario, any NBA team. So yeah, I feel like Philly.
That's fair.
I feel like Philly will be okay moving forward. They'll be okay.
So he's definitely the winners of this trade, in my opinion. But Chris, just like I'm gonna swing it to you though, Chris. Just give me your thoughts. Who's your winners and losers, and I know you're the biggest Sixers fan on this podcast, man. I know you have the biggest
Talk about it. Come
aspirations
on,
for
see, hey,
us.
see. What my
So
client means to say is he just knows that you're aware of the
just
Sixers.
needs to
That's
look
all. But he
away.
still gonna do this.
I know you have a phenomenal take.
Okay. Well, let's just get the elephant out the room. As previously stated, y'all had to move on. Y'all had to move on from James Harden. Simple as that. He had to go after all the drama that happened this offseason.
Yeah.
Him staying on the team longer, I guess, or the way I'm saying is him staying on the team as the season progressed would have only gotten worse and worse. No
No,
matter
no,
if he, no matter if he played or not, it would have gotten worse.
no.
And it might have ended up forcing Joel Embiid to 1 out. Now, getting him out early, you still have a chance to keep Joel. I personally don't think that's going to happen, but you still have a chance right now because of this trade.
All right.
All right. I find this funny because when the James Harden and Ben Simmons trade happened, a lot of people said the Sixers won the trade. Some people said the Nets won the trade. I was one of the very few, one of the minority that said neither team won because neither team progressed past what they originally were. The Brooklyn Nets, before they got James Harden, were only team that were a second round at best team. They lost in the first round after they traded him. The 76ers, a second round team at best, lost in the second round twice with James Harden. So no team, in my opinion, won that trade when you look at it. This trade, in a sense, it's a little bit different. I will say the Sixers won only on the count that the players they got back, Nicholas Batum, Marcus Morris, KJ Martin, and who was the last one they got?
Um,
Cove
Bro,
came back.
Covington.
Cove came back.
Covington.
Cove
Robert
came back.
Covington.
Yeah,
So,
Rob.
so the good thing is the now they have a lot of 3-and-D wings. That also
They
could
got
be a bad
picks.
thing. Then they got picks, but that also could be a bad thing having too much depth at the wing because now, still at the end of the day, you really only have two reliable scorers you can go to, and that's Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid. So if neither one of them, or let's just say one of them, is not scoring, who's going to pick up the pace? Because we already know Tobias Harris is not going to be the answer, and we're not even going to talk about that. I think that's the next thing the Sixers have to find out. And I do
Poor
feel like,
Mars.
and like Mars said, I'm going to piggyback off of it. I feel like, to me, this is Joel's last year if he's around the whole time of being a Sixer. And I'm sorry. I don't know if Tyrese Maxey is going to be enough to want to keep Joel around. Like, especially if it's another second, especially if this year turns into another second round exit. Was that 6-7 straight years of that? You think Joel's going to want to stay around for more of that same mediocrity? No.
That's it.
Now we gotta look at the Clippers. I don't know what the hell they were thinking doing this stuff. I don't know what the hell was going through their heads. I'm not sure who they're. Do I like it? Okay, let's just figure this out. One, now Terrence Mann is now officially upset at the Clippers. Bones is probably officially upset at the Clippers.
Right.
Russell Westbrook, while he might not show it, is officially upset at the Clippers. You know why? Because you just brought over another ball dominant guard who needs the ball to be productive. So, yes, on paper, a team with James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Kawhi Leonard, and Paul George sounds good. It sounds nice. If it was 2015, right now, come on, it's not the same. James Harden has not played off ball since 2012 when he was in OKC. Russell Westbrook tried to play off ball with James Harden in Houston. And how did that work? Westbrook was only there for a year and axed out afterwards. It wasn't because he didn't like James Harden. It wasn't because they weren't cool with each other. He realized at this point in their careers, they can't play with each other. So you're gonna try this experiment again? Like everybody's saying, two unreliable stars in your team. Health-wise, unreliable. But no, actually production-wise, unreliable too, because they have messed up in the playoffs before. But mostly health-wise, unreliable stars.
So, hold on, Chris. So, y'all don't think it could work if they bring Russ off the bench?
I don't think Russ is going to want to come off the bench again.
And if he does come off the bench, it's going to be him and Bones.
But
like that's, I don't see that really being.
I mean, him, Bones, and Norman Powell.
Him, Bones, and Norman Powell, yeah, but you're still giving up size with that front three. They can score. They can score with the best of them for real.
Defense is a foregone conclusion.
But
exactly.
Would you look at it like a Chris Paul situation in Golden State?
But the Warriors got a better bench.
That's different. That's actually working.
Different
but that's different.
The Warriors got a better bench.
I see what you're saying though, because those are like Bones, and on some teams is a starting caliber player. Russ on some teams still is a starting caliber player. Like
if you just start Harden at the 1 and you let Terrence Mann play the 2, you just let Russ play with Bones and Powell with the others.
Because you're giving away too much size. That's 6'2", 6'3".
You gotta remember, Harden is making 35. Yeah. Russ is only 2-year, $8 million. So it could happen.
Here's how I'm looking at it, though. Yes, Russ came off the bench to LA, but who's to say that's why he didn't come to Clippers to not play off the bench? Why would he want to go back? What if he doesn't want to go back to that role? Maybe he came to Clippers to not play in that bench role again. So now he has a decision to make. I feel like Eagles are going to play too much of a factor in this team wanting to progress. And not only that, though, but in order to get James Harden, they got rid of damn near all their defense. So while they have a lot of scores, their only two defenders really are Kawhi and Paul George. So if now they don't play, you gotta hope to have a shootout with teams. But think about it like this: we've seen James Harden be inconsistent way too many times. We know Westbrook can be inconsistent. Bones, he's a good player, but he's not somebody that's going to elevate your team. Norman Powell
Mhm.
has his days. That's fine. He's not going to consistently do what he's not going to consistently drop 25, 30 points. So now you really put everything on Kawhi. And I think the biggest problem with this trade, technically, if we're looking at it, James Harden, Paul George, and Kawhi Leonard are all free agents at the end of this year. Fortunately for them, Kawhi and Paul George can come back with a player option, but that's $45 million from both of them. So what if James Harden wants to come back and he wants to get paid? Is he going to want to take a pay cut? Now you got to figure out contracts. I think it's just I think it's too much outside factors and ego that's
Well,
going to mess this team up.
well, the new collective bargaining agreement gave a little bit more cap space for owners, and Steve Ballmer got the Dell for it a little bit. But I mean, yeah, as far as consistency, yeah, the Clippers got a will like, but see, I agree with you saying. I would say as far as the winners of this would be the Sixers if I was to say so, mainly because I just thought of something. Yeah, more shots for Maxey, but hey, don't hang me for this. Tobias Harris has been playing kind of consistent. I don't know if he works better with Nick Nurse or he's
Hold on,
just
hold on,
in
hold on,
better
hold on, hold on, hold on,
position.
hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on,
It's
hold on,
three
hold on, hold on,
games.
hold on.
It's three
Exactly.
games.
We
It's
cannot
three
go on
games.
3 games when it comes to Tobias Harris. We've seen this story
Um,
play out before. Let's stop.
what,
Before you even continue, just pump the brakes. Let's just slow our roll. We've seen this story play out
new
before.
coach.
Does
Nick
the coach
Nurse.
really? Does the coach matter?
Yeah,
Yeah, it mattered. He's a
it
better coach.
does.
From what I've
It
seen, the
does.
way they
Hold on.
move, the way the Sixers are playing, they're playing. It's way better. I think Nick Nurse is better at
Yes.
constructing an offense.
The offense is more free flowing. Doesn't look like yeah.
Hold on, hold on,
Nick
hold on,
Nurse
hold
is
on, hold on,
definitely
hold on, hold on,
phenomenal.
hold
Three
on. The
games
Three
coach
in,
does
games.
granted.
Three
the
games.
coach.
Three
You
games.
Three
know
games.
what?
Not advocating. Just
Hold on. Wait.
analyzing.
You know what? You know why the coach doesn't matter? Because last time I checked, Doc Rivers was the coach in 2019 when Tobias Harris was averaging 20 on the Clippers. So did the coach really matter then?
Well, it was a whole different rosters, and that you can't do that. Whole
What you
different
mean
roster.
different
You
roster?
a different roster.
He was getting
But
the same shots
the
that he's
Clippers.
getting now.
Listen, with a whole different set of teammates with different skill sets from each other. But Nick
Bro,
Nurse is that.
he was a top three scoring average in the Clippers. He was a top three scoring average for the Sixers. What's the difference?
But he went over to a team with two guys that could. Well, Ben Simmons is not your shooter, but
On the Clippers, he was more so their first option. That was right
that's what
after
Yeah,
I'm
like
trying to
OG.
tell you.
and
That's
they
exactly,
had
and then
Crawford.
you can't do that.
Tobias Harris was their first option for
He
real.
was the
That's what
first
made
option.
him
That's why I was able to put
Was
up
so
well,
twenty
he
special.
points a
was he
game.
not still
he'll
getting the same looks and ISO possession that he
He
No,
was
was
still
you
getting
getting
in
the
can't do
same
that.
looks.
Chris.
Philadelphia?
Still getting the same looks, but it's all about volume. When you got
And I'm
Jordan,
about to say that his shot attempts will
so
increase.
And then when he
Ben
went to the
Simmons, Ben Simmons was there too. Ben Simmons, he was bringing the ball up the court. He was initiating the offense. He had Jimmy Butler there for a season. It
So
Ben
wasn't at the
Simmons was
same
averaging
volume as he was
18
getting
points a
so
game,
with the Clippers.
what I'm
But
and
hearing
Joel was still
so
averaging
he that
27 and plus.
so
Tobias
Jimmy
Harris,
Butler was
if he
averaging
gets more,
19 points a game. Come
who
on
was
now.
averaging what? Hold on. So what I'm hearing is then that
You
Tobias
had
Harris
three
should have been
guys that could score.
Wait, in the Clippers, how many guys could score in Philly? 3. What's the difference?
volume
Who they
shooting,
have on the
like
Clippers? Who they have on the Clippers?
Didn't they have SGA there? They still had Lou Williams, so they still had scoring. Where's Lou Williams?
Shea 20 Shea wasn't the scorer that he was progressing, but he
He
wasn't at that point that
yeah,
he
he
but
was
he
like a
was still
rookie,
he wasn't
scoring.
second
he was
year
So
still a
even
rookie, right? He was still a rookie. So there's no
okay,
way he could have been at that point. You can't throw Shea
I
Gilgeous Alexander.
understand that. The point I'm making is I don't see a difference in the play style if he's still getting the same looks. If anything, he should be doing more with the Sixers if they have better stars than they had in the
But
Clippers. So
Tobias
he's
is the
getting more
main
shot
option.
attempts now
why are we talking about the coach if it didn't matter?
because
The
the coach is getting him more shot attempts than he's had in the past 3 seasons.
the
And with
coach
more
is
shot attempts, he seems to be more consistent. Through 3 games, like I said.
three
Through
games,
three games.
granted.
and but the thing with Tobias has always been though, is he going to make the shots when it counts most? Because he's known for
Exactly.
disappearing in the fourth quarters. He's known for having good scoring first halves and then
Right.
disappearing in the second half and not really being aggressive or his shot just falls off. So that's been the thing with him and his Philly career. It's just about the consistency with him and like him just going ghost and just doing cardio out there. That's what it
He's
came
like,
down to
yeah.
when it come down to with him. But at the same time, you got Embiid out there soaking up so much offense and getting so many touches. Like it's bound to happen.
So
But I do see what Chris is saying though. Like because he does get the same looks. He plays the same way. He's not being asked to do anything different. Especially because he was playing under the same coach and Doc. Like he wasn't being asked to do anything different. Like so, I see what Chris is saying with that though. Yeah, because he should definitely be better for what especially for what y'all pay him. He should be better for what y'all
oh,
for
that's
y'all
I
from what he
mean,
has
listen,
been.
Well,
man, you
shoot,
don't gotta
Harden's
rub it in
going.
our face.
I'll be expecting more from him for sure this year. I'll be demanding more from him for sure this year.
All right.
I wanted
He's
to say
getting more
one more
shot
thing
attempts.
though.
He's going to get more shot attempts.
I wanted to say one more thing as
Come
far as
on.
like the Clippers, like before we had moved on or whatever. Like I
Mm.
know like y'all like we were saying, it's only been like 3 or 4 games. But another thing that kind of like boggled me about the Clippers trade or the Clippers wanting Harden was Russ was starting to look like he was fitting in a little bit better with PG and Kawhi out there. Like he looked a little more
And
comfortable.
gosh
And
darn it.
the Clippers look good. Like they've looked good and it's again small sample size. I know, I get it. But they've looked good and it looked like they've been getting comfortable and they've worked really hard in the offseason of getting they chemistry and just getting they togetherness as a unit together. So I found it weird for them to be so eager to pull this trigger on Harden when instead of being like, all right, maybe let's see what this is. Maybe in this case, less is more. Like I was kind of hoping to see what they did with that, like with Russ starting and him messing with Paul George and Kawhi. But that's what I had to say.
Well, I mean that's really tough because, like I said, Kyrie, and what one point you did say, Russell looked like he was really comfortable and enjoying himself with the Clippers, man, way more than he was with the Lakers. I felt like Tyronn Lue, credit to him. I mean, well, I guess Chris might not want to agree with that, but he's actually found a way to get Russ, making him look like a decent point guard, looking like a decent quality guard, for the Clippers because they don't need Russ to be anything close to what he can be. Right, that's over with. But if he was playing the way he was those first, granted 3 games, small sample size, I think the Clippers could have done something pretty nice. But hey, let's see where it goes with James Harden taking over. But with that being said, we move on to the next topic. This topic was kind of similar to the last NFL episode where we did our buyers and sellers. Buying and selling which franchises. So I'm gonna really start with Kyrie on this one, man. So which 3 franchises are you really looking to buy or sell? Just tell me, man. Who is it?
Like I
Time, time out. Isn't it a little bit too early to be considering which franchises should be buyers or sellers? Because, like you said,
Well,
it's
we
only
did
been
it.
3 games.
Who we
Well,
like
so
so far.
who we like? We did it with the NFL. It was only the silly. It was only week 6, week 7. So it was pretty.
It's almost midway through the NFL season. That
But
makes
but
sense. And the trade deadline was coming up.
but we gotta match it up with the NBA one.
mean,
Listen, it doesn't
and
hurt
and
for early.
Hold,
It's fine. Listen, it doesn't hurt for a little early, to make a little
so
yeah,
predictions
so
here and
so
there.
so
we
so
make
so
predictions
I,
all the
so
time. Yeah,
so so
He
so do you so you're asking who's contenders and pretenders? Are you asking me that then?
Yeah.
will
Well, all
do that.
right. Well, we'll do that.
Yes.
We'll contenders and
Yes.
I mean
pretenders.
that's what the topic was. I don't know why. Honestly, Kyle, I don't know why you worded it that way as far as
I
buyers and
know
sellers.
that was completely on my end, but yeah,
But
contenders and
yeah,
pretenders.
the way I like when I put the topic in there, like I had it, I pretty much saw it as like giving preseason hype and like new changes to like new look teams or whatever. Who do you think is like pretenders or who do you think is like real contenders for it?
Right.
And given the
That's it.
small sample size that we're seeing, but that's just how I look.
Well, then who are you? Then who are the contenders and pretenders
I
for you?
mean, honestly, as far as pretenders, and it kind of hurts saying this because I spoke very highly of them last year
Hmm.
because I really thought they'd be contending like highly in the West. But the New Orleans Pelicans, honestly, I think may be contenders this
Yeah.
season. I mean, not contenders. I'm sorry, pretenders.
Yep.
Because I think they got all the talent in the world. They got all the depth that they need. But I still feel like something's going to get in the way of them being a serious team, a team that people take serious in the West, a team that you could possibly see making the playoffs and getting to the second round or something like that, and kind of making people scared. But the only reason I say that is because I just feel like it's deja vu with the Pelicans all the time. Whereas we see Zion playing good, we see him putting up good numbers and whatnot. He comes in like new physique and whatnot, quote unquote in shape, and it's just like then he hurts he pulls a hammy or something, or he hurts his knee, and then he misses like 30, 40 games. And then it forces BI to pick up the slack, and then CJ McCollum to pick up the slack, and then they get hurt. And then it's just like they whole team just start to break down. And that's just what it seemed like to be with them like over time. Maybe it could change this season. I don't know. But since they didn't make a lot of changes in the offseason, like for the most part, they did make a good draft pick with Jordan Hawkins, who I like so far.
Yeah,
But guys like Dyson Daniel coming off the bench, Hayward Lewis, like they're not really like that consistent.
Jared
So
Lewis, man. I
it,
really,
and they've been giving him more minutes too. And sometimes he looks good. Like sometimes he go out there and do his thing. He hits threes. He gets out in transition. But then you got Trey Murphy out with the I can't remember if it was an Achilles or a knee injury, but he's missing a big chunk of time to start the season. I I don't know. I think it's a team like people like given what they look like on paper and them being healthy, like considering them being 100% healthy, it's a team that me and I think a lot of other people would look like yo they could do some damage in the West, but I don't think it's. I think that window closed for them. To be honest with you.
okay, that's fair.
And
Portland look
then
good decent.
uh, you said three teams.
Yeah, three. Two more.
I think the Mavericks. I think the Mavericks can be serious contenders.
Okay.
Um, Luke is not going to be putting up the 40 like 11-11 or whatever the hell he's putting up right now. But he's playing like a madman. And Kyrie Irving, I think, is missed like a game or something like that. But given like the changes they made this offseason too, we added Derek Lively. They added
Grant
somebody else.
Williams. Grant
Grant Williams.
Williams.
They added Grant Williams. They got another like depth big and Rashawn Holmes just in case something go wrong.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think they got Josh Green developing into a nice two-way player off the bench. I
Right.
think
I'm
I
waiting for
think the
him to blossom.
I think the Dallas Mavericks finally got. It's honestly what it comes down to is Jason Kidd and how well he coaches and how well he guides those guys through certain because it was a lot of like times last year where they like he wouldn't make any adjustments throughout the game and their defense would break down and he was
Right.
just still all right. Let's just roll Maxi Kleber and Dwight Powell out there. I know it's not much else they could have done, but it just seemed like it just really on the defensive end. It doesn't seem like he made it a lot of adjustments and they struggled a lot last year because of that. But with him, it takes him being able to make adjustments. He has the people to be able to do that now. I think the Mavericks can be serious contenders in the West this upcoming season. I don't think of a third team. I think another pretender is going to be the Cavs.
You think so?
I think the Cavs honestly struggle to make the playoffs. To be honest with
Mitch
y'all,
got
I
it
don't see
down.
the Cavs have
Wow.
I don't see the
That's
Cavs
tough.
having that good of a season
That's
for
tough.
real. Because
That's tough.
I don't think D Mitch is going to stay after this season. There's been a
I
lot of
still
talks
miss
with his
gotta go.
contract coming up, and I don't think he's going to stay after this season. And it's kind of well known around there. And I think they're going to look more towards developing around people around Darius Garland,
Yeah,
getting
Evan
Evan
Mobley.
Mobley to be that all-star caliber power forward that they drafted him to be. And I think I think they're just gonna roll with that kind of core. They picked up some other guys in like Georges Niang and Max Strus to help out that bench. And drafted
Yeah.
Imani Bates to help out that bench, but I still don't think it's enough. I think
Car-
the Cavs. I think the Cavs are definitely going to be pretenders this year. Plus, you got Jared Allen missing a big chunk of games to start off the season too. That's never good. Your big man being out because of foot or leg problems or something like that. I don't. I think the Cavs have a down year. I think they'd be in that pretender category.
Okay. All right, then. Chris, I want to swing it to you before I swing it to Mark. So, Chris, who's your, pretenders or contenders? Three teams. Who is it?
And we're going off contenders. I can honestly only think of 5 teams, honestly, that I think are contenders
The
when it
Sixers
comes to the
on.
NBA.
You know.
I mean, Denver's number one. You got to throw Milwaukee up there, Boston, Phoenix, and LA. I think those are the only, and by LA I mean the Lakers. I have no faith in the Clippers. I think those are the only 5 contenders throughout the whole year. I think a lot of teams are pretenders. First one I got
Like
to
the
start off
Sixers.
with, I'm sorry, Kyrie, I got to go against you. I think the Mavs are going to be some pretenders this year. Yes, they did add some defense, which is great this offseason, which is great. But at the end of the day, I feel like there's a state run to the same problem. The defense just isn't going to be enough. They don't have they have no interior presence still. Yeah, you said they have Rashawn Holmes. Most of the time, Dwight Powell's getting 25 to 30 minutes. Dwight Powell does not get. Nobody's afraid of going at Dwight Powell if he's in the paint. So
Yeah.
there's
I did
still
mention Derek Lively also, who had a crazy first game with them, and he's not gonna be like featured a whole bunch because he's still a rookie, he's still learning and whatnot. But that's somebody I can see down the line during the season having a big impact for them. But I do see what you're saying though.
and at some point in time, we got to realize just the way that recent NBA history has looked. When you have a backcourt with two ball dominant score first guards, that doesn't equal a lot of success in the league, no matter how great they are. We all know Luka is a phenomenal talent. He arguably going to be the face of the league in like 3 years, arguably. Kyrie Irving, we know what he brings to the table in the offensive end. But again, we seen just how a backcourt with two score first ball dominant guards, how that works. And sometimes there's not enough ball movement. It's difficult for the rest of the team to get in rhythm because they're not getting the ball because, Luka or Kyrie might need 15 seconds to create something for themselves. And I think that, yes, they're going to have a really good offense. I think they're going to have a top 10 offense in the league just because of the scoring prowess that Luka and Kyrie bring on a nightly basis or can bring on a nightly basis. But at the same time, I feel like they're going to lack, again, in the defensive department. Because if you have two score-first guards putting so much of the effort in on offense, they're not going to play defense. And we know Kyrie and Luka, Kyrie can play defense sometimes, but he doesn't always play defense. We know Luka really does not play defense because he has to save his energy for the offensive end. It's kind of the same thing that Dame had to do when he was in Portland for all those years. He couldn't play defense for real because he needs energy to either create for himself or create for others on the offensive end, along with CJ. So, to me, I think the Pretenders. Another one, and to me, we got to look at it. We got to start saying the Miami Heat are going to be Pretenders this year. I'm sorry. They tried to
I
put
agree
all
with that.
their
Definitely
eggs in
agree
one
with that.
basket just to land Damian Lillard. And in doing that, they lost their starting backcourt. Now, Max Strus and Gabe Vincent are not needle movers. They're not anybody where you can say like they're going to carry you to the promised land or what the case may be.
Gabe
But
Vincent
they
been
were
playing bad.
they were key contributors and will continue to be key contributors to whatever team they're on. So now at this point, you're putting more pressure on Tyler Hero, Jimmy Butler, and Bam Adebayo to carry whatever team that is. I don't think Cody Mars is going to have that consistency that he had last year in the playoffs. He just got hot and was just on a hot streak going forward. I don't
Okay.
think that's going to
All
happen. What bench presence do they really have? Kyle Lowry, he's a nice player to have if you're a contender. In a team like this, what is he going to bring to you? We see every year he's regressing. They really have no other true point guard outside of Kyle Lowry. So who's really setting the offense up? Is it Jimmy Butler? Is it Tyler Hero? Like who's really setting the offense? Hero's not really a point guard. He's somebody that's a volume scorer. He needs to put the ball in the basket to bring value to it, whatever team he's on. So now you're banking on Jimmy Butler to literally be Jimmy Buckets again for a whole year because you want a good season because you don't want to you want to be in the play-in tournament, and then he has to go through Boston and Milwaukee again just to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. And I know we did it before, but Boston and Milwaukee got different teams right now. Like Drew Holiday ain't in Milwaukee no more. It's Damian Lillard in Milwaukee. Somebody who could drop 30 or 40 right back at you. That ain't gonna mean nothing. Sure, you might score on him. He gonna come right back down and score on you. That's different than going against Drew Holiday. We gotta look at the Heat as a team that you don't want to say their window closed, but unless they make a key move to bring in somebody that can be point guard and get some more depth on the bench, I don't really see them making it past the playing games. I see them losing. I see them losing to like an Indiana team. I see them losing to maybe a Knicks team if they just end up making it there. I don't see a Cavs team if they're in the playing tournament. I don't really see them doing much. And I think one more pretender, and I'm going to piggyback off Kyrie with this one, the Cavaliers, only because of Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell, I don't think, like he said, wants to be in Cleveland. They just traded him there because they just got the best offer back for him. I really think he wants to go to New York, and he's just playing out this year so he can be a free agent and then end up trying to sign with the Knicks anyways. So, and when Donovan Mitchell goes, the Cavs, while they're still going to be a competitive team, are going to have a gaping hole that needs to be filled with a star caliber player. Darius Garland's a very good player. He's not a superstar talent player. He's a very good player, borderline all-star because he was all-star last year. He's not really a needle mover. Evan Mobley, another great player. Could make a couple all-star games. Not a needle mover. Jared Allen, great interior presence, not a needle mover. So who's going to get the ball? Who's going to be that guy that, here, I need you to do something. Here, take the ball and just take us there. If Donovan Mitchell's not going to be there, we got to start looking at stuff like that. And I'm also say this team is a pretender. And it's mainly not because of him, but it's more so the people around him. I got to go with the Golden State Warriors in this one. The reason being is because, and the reason being with this is because, one, there's going to be issue with Klay Thompson, only due to the fact that Klay Thompson wanted a contract extension and the Warriors didn't give him one. So we don't know what his mindset is going to be like going through this season. He might be out to try to prove himself that I'm worthy of another big extension, and if y'all not going to give it to me, I'm about to show up for another team. So he might be messing up the flow of the offense. Draymond Green, I know they got rid of Jordan Poole, but I still feel like there's something there that's just going to halt that. And I still don't get the reason of having Chris Paul on your team. Now, as the small sample size we have, Chris Paul has looked good. And it's great that he decided to accept the bench role. But when it comes down to it, late game stretch, is Steve Kerr going to have Chris Paul in the game? Now, if you put Chris Paul in the game, you got Curry, Paul, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins can guard multiple positions. That's cool. Chris Paul can't. Steph Curry can't play defense. Klay Thompson is not the defender he once was. So now you basically got three defensive liabilities on the court at the same time. So now what's the role going to be? Curry's going to have to try to pull another Superman and carry this team. And while he's capable of doing that, I think the West, again, is too tough this year for him to have to try to carry a team deep into the playoffs. So Wiggins, to me personally, has not looked himself since they won the championship. He's not bad, but he has not looked like himself. They need Kuminga to have a breakout year. They need Moses Moody to have a breakout year.
I
They need
think
one
he's
of them.
mad.
They need somebody to step up, and
Chris
none of them
Jackson
step
Davis
up.
has been looking like a bright spot for them coming up.
Listen, Kyrie,
Yeah,
who's the
Chris
rookie
Jackson Davis
they drafted? Who's the rookie they drafted? Brandon, the rookie.
Pajemski.
Yeah, he's another one. I think he can make some. If they just gotta give him some time. That's all.
Curry don't have time. Curry 34 right now. He don't got time to wait around. If he wants to, he needs to win. So he's gonna do everything in his power to make sure his team wins. So he needs these young guys to step it up. And again, it was smart for Jordan Poole to get out of there, but I think they're gonna end. I think in the long run they're gonna think like, damn, we really need Jordan Poole. We
Yeah,
need
he could
somebody
have
who can at
been.
least. We need somebody where if Steph comes off the bench, we need somebody like, oh, here, you can play the point guard position. Yes, you're a score first guard, but at least you can run the offense. At least you'll have your games where you can go off where Curry can just take a break.
Of
They don't
course,
have that anymore,
Curry's gonna miss that.
and they don't have that anymore. And I think because of that is going to be part of their downfall. So I think those four teams I just named are all pretenders, honestly.
Okay. All right, Chris. Hell of an answer, man. Love it. Kyrie, Chris, man. Mar, I'm gonna save you. You know, say the best for last. Go ahead, Mar. Go ahead. Who's your contenders and pretenders? Let
You
me
want
hear it.
5 pretenders and 5 contenders, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, I feel like
Look, five.
after 3 games, you know, I feel like the Mavericks are gonna be. You know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and say it.
What?
The Nuggets. Let me run this down. The Nuggets are contenders.
Oh, okay.
The Nuggets. Yeah, you shouldn't be surprised.
He just doesn't want to admit it. There's a difference.
The Nuggets
That's
are
cap.
contenders. The Celtics are contenders.
Okay.
Um,
Jury's still.
the Suns are contenders.
Sixers are contenders.
I would say the Bucks are contenders. And do I want to say the Lakers?
That was your five contenders. Who's your pretenders?
I guess I gotta say the Lakers. Oh, the pretenders. Oh yeah, Chris definitely covered that one. The Heat are definitely pretenders. Um, the Grizzlies will be pretenders.
Yeah, they're gonna be bad.
Ooh.
Well, yeah, Ja
The
will be bad.
Sixers are pretenders.
That's tough.
Nah, that's the truth. The Clippers are pretenders.
Oh
And
man,
for 15,
that's crazy.
I shall say, I'm gonna give you a 15 because
Mm,
everybody else is just trash. If it ain't Denver, Boston,
and the Sixers.
and maybe Milwaukee,
That's crazy.
I'm on the fence about Milwaukee. Giannis has been playing so trash. Like, yeah, his last game he had 30, but like him being a second option or trying to be this second option, trash. Is literally
What?
just Denver
Are
and
you?
Boston.
Come on now.
It's just literally Denver. I mean, it's still early, but
It's,
Dallas pretenders. If it ain't Boston or Denver, man, I just feel like everybody else is pretending because they're not beating Denver or Boston. Maybe Boston, but not Denver. We gotta be real with ourselves. Denver brought back all five of their starters. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can say all the other 29 teams is pretenders then. For real, for real.
Yo,
okay.
and I'm not even gonna hold y'all. I've been on the fence and been thinking, humbly been thinking, like my Knicks might be in that pretenders category, and it's simply because I think we regressed because we didn't make no real upgrades this season. I mean, Dante DiVincenzo is cool, but he's pretty much like another Josh Hart out there. He's out there to hustle, play defense, hit a three there and here and there. But I don't think Jules is the answer to taking us to the promised land. Jalen Brunson is going to do Jalen Brunson things. He's still going to go out there and do good, but I also don't have the utmost. I don't really have a lot of hope in RJ Barrett. So I and we had a good show. Like it was a disappointing loss, but we only lost to the Celtics opening night by like 6 points. And Kristaps was going crazy. Jason Tatum was going crazy. If we didn't miss 12 free throws, that would have been our game.
Mm.
But I between them and Milwaukee, bro, I just I don't really see it for it. I kind of see I really see us taking a step back.
All right. That's fair. Okay. All right. Listen, Johnny, last but not least, who's your
Yeah,
pretenders and contenders, man? Before we switch on to the next topic, I'll let Kyrie take over that last topic.
yeah, I got 3 and 3. I got three of the obvious on both sides. You guys pretty much touched on it. Why ain't nobody say the T Wolves? I can't stand that 2 game big man thing that they trying to do. It's not working. Like pretend like that. That's one of my
Uh,
that's like my number one favorite pretender. Like I will continue to like mock that style of offense or that lineup until they get Gobert or Towns out of there. They just paid. I think they recently paid Towns and Gobert. So I'll be mocking that in
Be,
for much more
so
seasons
so
to come. But
so before you continue your list, the only reason why I did not put the Timberwolves in pretenders category is because we already knew they was in the pretenders category. Because unless Anthony Edwards carries them to the promised land, they're not going anywhere. So
it's not
I didn't
enough.
think that I didn't think that needed to be said. That's the only reason why I
Yeah.
didn't bring them up.
Well, for the rest, like if they just go back to Mar Point, like outside of the few, the rest of them is trash. And since we're naming the rest of the trash, I'll just pick out, yeah, Timberwolves, pretenders. But like other than that, because you guys touched on everything else, Cavs, Heat, I agree as well. Just smoke in the mirror, almost
Who's
there, but just not there.
I'm surprised you didn't say
You're
for the
gonna hit the
contenders with that OKC. That's crazy.
for
You
the
didn't say OKC. Yeah, for the contenders. I don't know.
for the well, they could have
Yeah,
been something. But as
yeah.
far as
well,
yeah, yeah, as far as pretenders go, yeah, that's pretty much it with that. Like, yeah, Cavs, Heat, take your pick. Then throw the Sea Wolves in there. But now on to the
who's
contenders.
Yeah, the
Not a
Kings.
Kings fan. Well,
Yeah,
they
not a
they
Kings
well they
fan.
could
Who
they
wants to be a
made the
Kings fan?
playoffs. Now it's all the way up in there.
I
But
know the one
but
shot lucky.
the contenders though, I will say like it does get a little bit interesting outside of the obvious Celtics, Nuggets, Bucks, blah blah. Like let's it's kind of interesting. I'm not gonna lie. Like I wanna throw. I'm loving the Mavs right now, man. Like they undefeated still. Like we already know it's not gonna last with Luke, but Luca is gonna last. But we already know that the Mavs aren't gonna last. Like, but we know Luca is gonna last. And at the end of the day, I do gotta say he has. like I know it don't mean nothing, but here's like he's the first player in NBA history to like start off the season leading his team in every category. Not every category except for blocks and steals. But boards, dimes, and like points. I didn't even know that. I was like, oh God, he's going on that crazy. In
Luca,
addition to the 30-point
Luca,
triple doubles. But
So
that's Luka,
so
whatever. But that's
Luca
Luka, whatever. We
generation.
already know.
Jo-
We already know.
Johnny, got a fun fact for you about Luca. Did you also know that Luca has the highest use percentage in NBA history right now?
Oh, what
How,
highest what?
what's the percentage? What's the percentage?
His percentage is almost at 36%. That's the highest in NBA history right now. Higher
Damn.
than Jordan, Kobe, all of them.
Higher than
Sheesh.
Jordan, Kobe, all of them.
That
Wow.
shouldn't
Brian,
surprise
and
anybody here though. That should not surprise anybody here. And when you watch a Mavericks game, Luka Doncic has the ball and everybody else has to
well,
wait.
yeah, yeah.
That's
Listen,
what it is.
I'm not again. We all know Luca's great, and I'm not taking away from the fact that Johnny
That's
made
all I'm
a very
saying.
impressive stat. It's a very impressive
That's
stat, but that man has the ball 9 times out of 10 on offense.
and
For a
there's a
guy
reason
like
why.
that,
But like I said, the Mavs aren't gonna last, but Luka will. Like my goodness, I just say that to say, God, Lord, Luka, like he's still Luka. But anyway, other than that, I'm gonna say y'all, Atlanta Hawks. I like them as a sneaky contender. Like Cam Thomas has been playing out of his body. I like him, yo. 33 points per
Kyrie,
game so far. Oh, it's only through 3 games, but I
Kyrie not
like
liking it.
the bro. Why
You
not?
said
Why
Cam
not?
Thomas?
Yeah, I like yeah
You
for
said the Hawks though.
no Johnson.
Oh, Jalen Johnson?
Jalen
Yeah,
Johnson, yeah. Okay.
Oh, okay,
Johnson.
okay.
Yeah, from Duke.
Johnson,
Yeah, nice
not
young
Thomas,
He been
prospect.
he
but
been good,
didn't they? And
like
I
Chris said, we talk about needle movers. He's not no real needle mover yet.
but the Hawks always seem to have that no name type of depth. Not like Miami, not like Denver, not like those, but they seem to have like when I watch the Hawks play, it's only through 3 games, but Trey's hooping. DeJounte Murray is still he's still him. Like they're collectively as a group. Like I like the way they look. They're looking good. Like they're looking like yeah, obviously like Chris Paul's looking good with the Warriors. The Hawks are looking good through 3 games collectively as a group.
I'm
I
gonna say
wouldn't be
this about
surprised if they would. I wouldn't be surprised if I would put them in a contending team, uh, fifth, 6 to 5 seed. Like I put them as a
I'm,
sneaky contender line.
I'm gonna have to give pushback to that only because I see Atlanta so far, small sample size again, but I still see them like long term as being a team that still can't defend and a team where a backcourt with DeJounte Murray and Trey Young won't work because Trey Young doesn't move off the ball. When Trey Young
I
doesn't have the ball in his hands, he's at the top of the key every single time, just standing there. And
uh
DeJounte Murray, he comes from a Spurs system where nobody's allowed to just be standing there. You're not. Nobody's allowed to just be saying somebody's always got to be moving. Somebody is always got to be screens and some off ball actions going on. And a guy like Trey Young that can shoot so well, that can shoot off the screens and pin down so well, I don't understand why they don't really run any off ball actions. They don't really run any sets for him to help DeJounte get them two in the flow as a backcourt together. But I don't see that changing anytime because they've had a coaching change. They went from Nick McMillan to Quinn Snyder.
yeah, Quinn Snyder,
And
defensive
it,
mindset.
it's still the same thing. Trey Young is still doing the same. He's still going one on one on ISOs. He's throwing stupid passes in the pick and roll. So his turnover is always going to be high. He don't play no defense. He never will
That
because he's 6'1".
Murray's the defensive. He gives them the
He,
defensive like
he is.
not
He
not
is.
not
But
leg, but
when
he
they switch, bro, they're hunting Trey Young. They're hunting
yeah.
to get at Trey Young and to get him in the center of the court. That's why it's not going to work, and there's not much you can do about that. And Clint Capella breaking down in the back, he's in your front court. That's not really helping you out. And I know the kid Jalen Johnson, he's been playing good. He's becoming a more versatile John Collins. He's like he kind of remind me of Josh Smith, like being in like
Uh-huh.
I don't know if it's just being him being a Hawk, but he's kind of reminding me of like Josh Smith low key. He's a little more versatile than Josh Collins, where John Collins, where he was more like just pick and roll really, and
hmm
if he hit a spot up three in the corner, maybe give you a little 1-2 dribble on the block, but he's not
Mainly a
really got
press.
his exactly. He's not gonna. It's different with Jalen Johnson. He produces different for you. but I still don't think it's enough for them, bro. I, I think they just I still think they're the same team. I think it starts with Trey Young not doing some other things you expect from a superstar point guard.
Hawks sneak into the playoffs. Ice Tray will be there. He
They
turns into
could
Ice
definitely be
Tray.
a playoff team. They could definitely be a playoff team, but the Hawks they've been a playoff team though. They've been a team that made it to the first round and get bounced out, or they make it to the second round and get bounced out. They don't make no real noise, and I don't
I've
see them
s-
as a team people really fear because most likely you won't have to make Trey Young a play. You don't have to make Trey Young play you out of games. He'll do it himself sometimes.
Yeah.
I've said it before. I'll say it again. Recent history: ball dominant backcourts just do not work.
It, that's the thing with them though. Like Chris, bro, they don't have to be ball dominant because Trey is such a good outside shooter. And like you look at a guy like Curry, I'm not comparing the two whatsoever. You look at a guy like Steph Curry, they're about the same size, about the same frame, they got the same skill set. And he's running around all game. He's never just standing still. He's never just sitting at the top of the key watching Draymond cook or watching Klay Thompson cook. Because no, that's not going to work. I really want to see him get moving to like some more off ball action and get some stuff done like outside of just pick and roll and ISO scoring. Colin, you muted, bro. All of us is muted.
Oh man. I mean, I was saying more so Curry's really 6'3", solid, and Trey Young, what, 5'11", 5'10", 5'11" with shoes. So that really
Maybe
plays
six.
right. I don't even think he's 6'4". Someone I know personally stood next to him was like 5'10". He was literally the same height as him. It was crazy. It was just like, yeah. So that really plays a part.
It's just the running around itself though. You don't even got to be getting the ball every time. Just the running around itself though isn't enough to tie your defender up.
Yeah.
Like running them through screens on Yucca Kungwu and Jalen
Right.
Johnson, like that's not fun. Like he's got to make use of that.
Man, listen, Johnny, you had a great take. Let's get to the last topic of this basketball episode, man. The All-Star game made some major announcements in terms of that. East versus West. They're going back to the original format. What's your guys' thoughts on that? I mean, Johnny, I'm gonna swing it to you first and swing it to Kyrie. Just give me your thoughts on that, Johnny, on
Well,
the All-Star
it's
game coming back.
it's looking like it's looking like it's taken away from the favoritism. Because I like how the NBA started when they did the segment of like team captains and picking teams. Now it's seeming like I'm not going to say the same players have been playing for the same side, but it seems like these types of players like the big name players already seem to have who they want to play for, and then the continue all stars after they just go wherever they may. Like this seems more traditional, taking it back. I mean, at this point, it's kind of like in case y'all forgotten type thing. I'm for it. I feel like East versus West. Anyway, I think the main problem with it was the competition, as far as like defense, as far as hustle, as far as the motor, as far as the entertainment. Uh, I think it's more so if long as you keep that competition, you can drape it how you want it. Like you can do like team captains, you can go back to East versus West. I think it comes down to the competition, and yet the players got to care. We had a segment about this a couple of like I think last season and around the All-Star break, and I mentioned before that players should be like given incentives to charities of their choice or whatever you may have you to make them want to play more or make them want to actually step up the hustle and make the All-Star game worth watching, like take some pride in it. So at the end of the day, I like them going back to the traditional mode of East versus West, but these players' hearts got to be in it. And I do think it takes away from the favoritism a little bit, like as far as team captains picking.
All right, Johnny, fair point. Kyrie, swing it to you. East versus West, back in action. What's your thoughts on it?
Um, the only good takeaway from it for me is I just like that classic format personally as a fan. I love it being East versus West. Um, but I don't think it's going to be anything different than what we've seen in the past. To be honest, I just don't look forward to the All Star game, All Star weekend in general. And
It
I
used to
think it's
be.
going to. I still think it's going to be underwhelming. Um, I think it's going to could be even more lopsided because now that I'm thinking about it, there's a lot more stars out in the West.
I mean, the
And
East got some stars.
the East do got some stars. They got
The
Dame
East got
now.
because it's only like it's gonna be 12. It's only gonna be a 12 player, So it's like 12 All Stars in the
Yeah.
East, 12 All Stars. I mean, I think it.
But it all comes down to whether or not the guys want to take it serious and they actually want to
Of
play and
course,
make it put on a show for the fans for not
that's
just
true.
wait until the fourth quarter. And I get it. They don't want to go 100% and end up getting hurt at an exhibition game. But to be fair, I see stars, I see players all summer in them Rico runs and them Chris Johnson runs playing their hearts out, trying to catch bodies, trying to put somebody on the floor. And it's just like, yo, why can't you do that in the middle of February? You doing it in the off season. Why you can't do
Well,
that for the All Star game? And you already in season, you already in the motion. You already been playing games. Like, why not?
I got to
If
go.
you
I got
you
this
can go.
2 game road trip next week.
I'm saying, bro. But you get the whole week off after All Star break though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh
think
yeah,
so.
you do. I forgot that. I forgot the new. Yeah, they definitely did on it.
They always have though. They always get a week off after All Star break.
I thought it was like a couple days off and then they go back.
It's
But that was
Yeah,
probably
I
like
thought
like
it was a
four.
couple of days. Yeah, I
early
thought it was a couple
2000.
of
I mean
days.
early 2000.
I think it's like 4 or 5 days, but they play like the rest of that week. Is really no game.
Right.
Mm.
So I'm just saying, if you can go hard in the Rico runs in the summer, bro, you can go. You can give us a show for that. That's what I'm saying.
That's fair. Oh, shit, you're not wrong. I mean, Mar, I'm gonna swing to you. Thoughts on the East and West coming back in action, man? What's your thoughts on that?
Trash. But for is I feel like there's more opportunity for more all stars in a sense because it's usually more on the West. So like you can have like LaMelo Balls if he's healthy. You can have some of these different maybe who knows, maybe you do have a Cam Thomas in All-Star
Let's be honest.
game.
he'll get my
You
vote.
you
Never.
never you never know.
Nah, facts. Cam, because he's shooting that shit every time he get it.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. So I
That's
feel
the
like
point.
there's more
exactly.
opportunity for some people who was never gonna get a chance if they were just always
Celtics
picking
beat the Pacers by 51.
the top 10 people or the top 15 people in the league. I feel like so. I just feel like it's bringing back a format. It's bringing back some sort of criteria in a sense. If you ain't really hooping on your side of the turf, you ain't supposed to be here. Instead of it just being the best 15 people, that's more to like that's more of like the All NBA type thing. So I'm just glad it just brings back a format and it's creating more opportunities.
That's fair, Mar.
Not to mention, I feel like the whole draft format was getting corny and dry. Because how does Nikola Jokic go last? Like, how does he go last in the draft, bro? I don't get it. It was getting corny. It was getting all political. I ain't like it.
Listen, now, okay. Now, again, I know technically Nikola Jokic shouldn't, but when you're trying to go to a game and try to see some highlight plays, you don't think of Nikola Jokic. Even though I know he's the best player in the world, I know, but you don't think,
Yeah.
but when you think of highlight plays and All Star
But
game, Nikola Jokic does not come to mind. I know it's
We
weird.
didn't come
It's
here
weird.
for an old
when it
man
comes
in
to
LA
actually
Fitness.
competing
Come
and
on,
trying to
man.
win, when it comes to actually competing and trying to win the All Star game,
But
bro,
I
Nikola
know,
Jokic
I
is the
know,
choice.
I know, I know, I know. It's a weird
Yeah, you
subject.
talking
It's
like he's
just
a
weird.
personal advocate.
No, I see what he's saying. I definitely see what he's saying because Jokic, he's not going to get it past. He's not going to get past half court half
Only,
the game. So,
the only thing Jokic can do that we gonna like is a flashy pass, and I mean that's cool. But like when I think All Star
mhm,
game, I'm trying to see more than just a flashy pass.
yeah.
That's fair. I mean, well, Chris, since you're taking the highlight, man, just give me your thoughts on the East and West. Give me your thoughts. What's your
I
reaction
I
towards that?
I agree with Martin Kyrie on the fact that going to the East versus West format it sucks because I mean we've seen in history they don't at a certain point in history it seemed like they just stopped taking the All Star game seriously. And it was like that while it was still under the East versus West format, which is why they changed it to now having team captains and drafting players. I also agree with Kyrie on the fact that this had to come because these last few draft selections, they were kind of corny. Like I think from I think the draft started in 2018 when they did the team captain draft.
Yeah,
I feel like
2018.
from 2018 to 2020 when they had the one for in Kobe's honor, those first three were very strong. They were very competitive games. Everybody seemed like they were more involved. Obviously, they were playing lazy at times, but when it came down to the target score, they were playing. They were
Was it
Right.
actually
like the
playing.
last 4 minutes? Yeah, the last 4 minutes, Giannis and
And
LeBron was going at it. It was like, oh,
and
hold on.
that's what we wanted to see, and that's what we want to see in this format. But as the years went on, these past 2 or 3 years, we saw that people didn't try not to take it as seriously anymore. And it kind of just it felt whack, it felt corny. So it was smart to go back to this format, but it sucks that they did it. And I agree with more on the fact that yes, this creates more opportunity for lesser known players to possibly be getting All Star appearances, like LaMelo Ball, who in the original format, yes, he made the All Star game once, but who knows if he would have made it again. So it gives somebody like him. Maybe Dejounte Murray can sneak in for the East, something like that. You don't know. Maybe maybe Jalen Brunson can finally be an All Star. You
Yeah.
like it like it does give the players more opportunities to see different athletes, but at the same time you got to add incentives to it, like Johnny said. If you don't add an incentive or incentives, in my opinion, to this All Star game, it's still going to be corny. Because when you look at the West has all the stars, they have all the stars. So you have to give these players a reason to make the game competitive. Like we said, we're not asking you to go out there and play your heart out like it's Game 7 of the NBA Finals. We ain't asking for all that. But like Kyrie said, I've seen games at Chris Berkeley's gym, Lethal Shooter's gym, Rico
Mm-hmm.
Hines, all the Drew League, all these gyms, the crossover league, all
Mind
these
you, Chet hurt
everywhere.
himself in the Drew League. Chet missed the whole
Exactly.
season because he hurt himself
Yeah,
in the Drew League.
exactly. I've seen these same NBA players who are all stars, who will be who will be multiple time all star. I see them go harder and that than they'll go in the All Star game. What's the difference? You're playing in front of people.
The
And we want
cameras
to
on
see
them.
entertaining show.
So that
I
was
mean,
camera shot.
the cameras. I mean, the cameras.
Nobody don't want to get embarrassed now.
That's true. No, but it's hard
That's
though
a part
because
of. But that's a part of basketball. It happens sometimes. But an all star caliber player, whatever he does to you, you should be able to dish back out to him.
that's
Bad.
that's that's for the '90s and early 2000s. I think the 2010s kind of lost that a little bit. I think
It's
it's
on
still there.
Moneyball now, bro. It's on
It's
Moneyball. That's what
Moneyball.
it is.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that along with having each team play for a charity they're choosing, I feel like each player should also play for the charity they're choosing. Maybe if you give an incentive where whoever's the MVP of the All Star game, they get such and such donation to this charity. It might make players go a little. It might make players be a little bit more competitive. Maybe. I'm just saying you gotta think of something to make the game competitive because you don't want this format to be lazy because they're going to end up changing the format again. And do you really want to do that? And if you end up doing that, what you going to change the format to? Back to the format it was already with the team captains? It's time for whoever's in charge of like formatting the All Star game. It's time for them to really think outside the box. They really need to start now because, like Harvey said, All Star Weekend. There was once a time where All Star Weekend was a fun event to watch, and
Yep.
over the years, it just seems like less and less we don't want to watch anymore. Like the last great All Star Weekend that I saw was 2016, and that All Star game was not good. Trust me, it was not good. But the weekend itself was fun. I just wanted have to be a fun weekend.
I think that was
That's it.
Kobe's last year. I think it was fun toward the end. I
That
think
was a
toward the
Zach
end.
Levine and Eric Gordon dunk contest, right?
Yeah, no, I think
Yes.
that was. They went
Yes, it
back to back.
was.
2015, 2016, back to back.
Yes, sir.
The dunk contest hasn't been great since. Hasn't been great since. Man, but you know what? With that being said, that concludes episode 137 of the Restricted Zone podcast, man. This was a hell of an episode. I want to give an individual shout out to all the co-hosts, Johnny, Chris, Mark, Kyrie. You guys are phenomenal. Hopefully the fans enjoy this episode as much as we enjoyed recording this episode. 151 subscribers. You know, you guys pushed us and helped us get to there, man. We appreciate it. All the love and support. Just leave a like, subscribe, and comment so you can be in tune with all the latest episodes. Be on the lookout for the next volume tape that's going to be out too, as long as this episode as well. And check us out on all streaming platforms: Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts. You name it, Podbean, we're on it. You don't gotta pay a dime. We're free. So check us out. We love the support. Appreciate it. We're gonna keep going with this. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Thank you.